So, good morning. Yeah, so we can have a place and try to settle. We can try to settle so that we begin this class. So we can have a word of prayer and then we begin. Our Father who art in heaven, we humbly come before thy throne of mercy this morning. I want to thank you so much, Lord, for bringing us to this place for the purpose of learning your ways, and us as young people having to time to understand and opportunity to know the times that we're living in and what we ought to do as a people. For you have called every one of us to be in the field, and so all of us need to understand what we have to do in the field. So we are here to learn, and as we start this learning, we pray that you may go with us. Let your Spirit guide us and be our teacher. For this is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. So good morning once again. So for those who have never met me, you're seeing me for the first time. I'm Remi Wilberforce, and I'm so much privileged and so much humbled to be here and to stand before you for this purpose that we need to learn. And that's for our theme. You remember our theme? What was our theme? Yes, we need to understand the times we live in, and not only just understanding, because just understanding without doing anything, it is not going to help us, right? So we need to understand the times that we are living in, and also as a people, now the young people, we need to know what we ought to do at that time. When the children of Israel, when they were inquiring what we have to do, and when many of them did not even understand the times, we had a tribe, that is the children of Isaac. The Bible says that they knew what they had to do. They ought to do at a specific time. And so that's why we're here. So this is our first class in the cookery class, and we are doing just introduction to cookery. We want to do some introduction to cookery. Many of us know cooking is just putting something on the fire and letting it cook, and then we partake of it and we say it is cooking. But we just need to understand some background information, some theory part of it. What is cookery and why do we need it? Does it mean that having survived all these years, we don't know how to cook? No, that is not the point. And that's why we are here to understand what is cookery, what is cooking, and why do we need it, and why some people like me are pushing this narrative that as young people, we need to have this foundation that we missed while we were growing up. So who can tell me what is cooking? That basic knowledge that you know. What is cooking? That you know. Or what have you been knowing? What is cooking? Just tell me in 2 words, 3 words. Anyone who can try? Yes. It is a preparation of a meal, and there's someone raising the hand back there. You're not raising your hand. Anyone else? What is cooking? What do you know what is cooking? So we are told that cooking is it can be a practice. Yes, it is a preparation of a meal, but it is also a practice. It can be a skill of combining food, not just preparing, but combining food, different types of food, simple foods. And when we mix them together and bring the heating part of it, we are doing what? We are cooking. Just simple as that. It is a practice. It can be also a skill, or preparing food by combining or mixing and different types of food. And Heating them, eating the ingredients together, we make what? We make food, and that is what we call cooking, just in a simple language. So for those who are coming in, we are just starting. So that is cooking. And now, as you know, we have known cooking. It is a skill, it is a practice. It can be an art. We are told from the spirit of prophecy that cooking is an art. It is something you can learn. It is something that you can acquire and make it part of your life. It is something you can practice, meaning it is something you may grow not knowing it, but at a certain time of your life, you can start learning it and then start practicing. And then you do what? You become a cook. So you don't have to be born with that talent. You don't have to necessarily grow with it for you to become a cook, but you can practice, you can learn and become a cook. You can practice. So the main keyword there is a practice, meaning any one of us can practice how to cook. And there are so many quotes in the Spirit of Prophecy that talks about cooking, which we will not read because there are so many. But I'm going to try to paraphrase some in our conversation in this presentation and other presentations, like the one we are told that young men and women, boys and girls, all of them need to be taught about cooking. From which age? From the early age. And why should we learn about cooking? Because at this point, you know, as a people, as the Seventh-day Adventists of this time, what we are doing now is not something that we should be doing now. Do we know that? At this stage, all of us should be where? In the field, right? We should be in the field working. Meaning, if we should be in the field working, all this information, we will have gotten it, all of them, long time ago. Sorry. And so that's why in the morning, in our devotion, we are being told that it is time to redeem what? To redeem the time. Why? Because we have wasted the time as a people. And so when we realize that we have wasted time as a people, what do we do? Just like we were given an example in the morning that if you're a student and you're about to sit for your exams, and you are told the exam starting next week, what are you going to do? You are going to try and catch up. You are not going to sleep. You are going to sleep for less hours. You are going to revise. Why are you revising at this time? Because the time you had for the entire period, like the whole term, you are not revising. But now that you know exam is coming, what are you doing? You are trying to catch up with your notes. And so the same thing is just applying to us. Right now, when you look at the sanctuary, you saw that that picture, that chart in the morning. We are in the Day of Atonement, right? And there are some things that need to be done in the Day of Atonement. Hopefully, maybe our teacher will just take us through to understand what need to be done in the Day of Atonement. So there are some things we need to understand, and we need to do them in the Day of Atonement. But unfortunately, we have not done these things. We have not prepared ourselves enough to stand in the Day of Atonement. And it is now that we are realizing, oh, time is up and we are not yet, what? We are not ready. So what are we doing as a people? We need to try and redeem the time. And that's why we are having this meeting. This meeting should not be for us right now. This meeting should be for the people of the world. But again, our people do not have this information. Because at this time, someone like, let me use the example of Gladys. Gladys should be knowing everything about cooking, right? At this age, someone who is 15 years old, 14 years old, 16, 18, those people should be thorough, knowing how to make good bread, knowing how to make good cakes, knowing how to make simple meals. It's just they should be knowing at this age of the young people that you are here. But again, most of us just know how to make vegetables and make ugali and boil rice. What else do we know how to make? Boil sweet potatoes. And most of us cannot go beyond that. Because also when we come to our homes, our food varieties are narrowed down to sweet potatoes, rice, ugali, chapati. What else do we eat? Cassava, for those coming from Uganda, cassava is so dear to you people. And what else? Sweet potatoes, and we have Irish potatoes. What else? Bananas. Give me other food varieties you cook in your homes. Yeah? Arrowroots. So beyond that, there is nothing else we know about cooking. And that's why you realize that most of us Adventists do not understand many of the things, and especially our children do not understand. Why? Because our mind to some extent are benumbed. Why are they benumbed or clogged? It is because of the kind of food that we partake. And so for us, because we are told the young people are the people who are going to take this message to the world in the future, in the coming days, the people need to have very clear mind. They need to understand. So how can you understand if the foundation so that can make you understand are not put in place? So those are the reasons why we are here. We are so late, but we are trying to redeem the little time that is remaining, and we try to do something. We try to work. Now, my prayer is that your coming here should not be just a routine. You are not coming here because your parents told you to come here. You are here because you have a desire, you want to create a passion, and you want to do something not for yourself, but for the cause of God, right? So all of us have to desire to be missionaries in whichever capacities that God will have us be in. And if that is the reason why you're here, I'm just requesting you that you go through with us, and by the end of this week, I know that God will bless all of us and we will come out as missionaries, not to go and sit and wait for another cookery training, but to go and start with the knowledge and the information that we get from this place. We go start doing something, so that next time when we are meeting, we are just sharing ideas and polishing and sharing testimonies of what you tried, what did not work, and the new things that you have tried and where you have reached in your Christian journey and experience. Now, I want you to check the screen. We are told that is a healthful living. Healthful living 76.1. Those are some general statements of about our health and our diet. We are told the diet question deserves a careful study. The diet deserves a careful study. A reform in eating could be a saving of expenses and labor. So, in Adventists, we have been taught this message of reform. But again, as we are reforming, we are realizing that most of us are not reforming, but we are doing what? Deforming. We are doing health deform instead of health reform. Why? Because we have not made the diet question a serious point of study. We have not carefully studied to understand what it consists and what we ought to do and what we ought to understand when it comes to our diet. Because the moment we will understand that food is a very important thing in our Christian life, and then we will not be having these trainings, because everyone will go out and try to do something with your hands. You will try to think how you can help yourself. We are struggling because we have not realized how important food is to us. But some of us who will reach to the crisis of the Sunday law, that is the time we will understand that most of us will not be able to make right decisions and right choices because of the choice of diet. that we chose to partake of. We are told that diet affects both physical and moral health. So it means the food you eat, whether you like it or you don't, will automatically affect your physical and moral. And not only that, but even your spiritual, your mental life. There is a direct relation between what you eat, how it affects your mind, how it affects your body, how it affects your general behaviors. So some of us are behaving the same way we behave, how we behave, because of the kind of food that we are partaking. And so if we have to reform, the message of reform was not just about the food we eat. It was about the food, for that food to reform us, reform our habits, reform our behaviors, reform our mind and how we think. That is the kind of reform we were to have, not just us stopping to eat milk and eggs and meat and start eating vegetables, but again, we have the same traits we had when we were eating meat. There's no difference. You find that in the still the camps of the young people, we still hear of the sins of immoralities, fornications, and so many stuff that we hear from the people who are still partaking of these things that we left. So what is the change? What is the difference? So it was not just food to fill the stomach. It was the food to fill the stomach, but also that food was to reform us, our entire bodies. But you can see for the years that you have reformed, our bodies and even our characters, our behaviors are still the same. Has that food helped us? Has the reform helped most of us? It has not. And where is the problem? Is the problem with the reform? Is the problem with the reform? The problem is not with the reform. The problem is how we take the reform, how we carry the reform, the food we are partaking. You might be having the right kind of food, but the way of preparation, the way of preparing that food just makes everything bad. And so we need to understand that it is not just about reforming the food, changing from eating animal diet and now you're eating plant-based diet. It is not just about that. This food you are eating, for you to know that it is benefiting you or it is fitting you for the time that is ahead of you, you have to see the change in your behaviors. You have to see the change on how you think. You have to see the change in how you reason and with everything, the choices you make in life. But these are some of the changes that we have not seen. Learn for yourselves what you should eat, what kinds of food best to nourish the body, and then follow the dictates of reason and conscience. This is not a matter of thriving or importance. Those who will not eat and drink from principle will not be governed by principle in other things. So these are some of the things we need to understand when it comes to cooking. It's not just having your ugali and the vegetables and you put in the fire and they cook and you eat and you say, no, I know how to cook. No, I am a reformer. You know, I'm a Seventh-day present truth believer and all that. No, it is not about that. We need to be principled. We need to be governed by principles. Which principles? Heavenly principles. We are told that we must be saints here on earth before we become saints in heaven. And how will that be? It is by this cooking. We are told that the large amount of cooking usually done is not all necessary. Neither should the diet be poor, neither in quality or no quantity. No, when we learn now about cooking, you will understand that cooking or food preparation is just wide. You come to understand that you can survive without even cooking. So, us being here, we are not going just to learn about cooking. We will learn how we can also survive without cooking. It is also an art and a skill and a practice of cookery, of making sure we are having a good diet. We are told we should have less cooking. Some cooking are just unnecessary. We have fruits, we have vegetables, we have so many that we can take in their raw state and still be good. The proper cooking of food is a most essential requirement, especially where meat is not made an article of diet. Something must be prepared to take the place of meat, and these foods must be well prepared so that meat will not be desired. Some of us still desire meat. Why? Because of some foods we eat. You eat some poorly prepared food, and then you just remember the good taste of meat. It just comes to you. It is natural, it just comes. But we are told that when we learn proper cooking of food and how we can prepare food in a way that meat will not be desired, we just take away those tastes completely and have something to replace. We are told that our lives will be better. Again, we are told there is a religion in good cooking. So cooking is not just cooking. There is a religion. There are steps we need to learn. There are principles that need to govern you if you want to be a good cook. And it is about our Christianity. Cooking is not just cooking. It is an art, it is a skill, it is a practice, but also we are told it is a religion. Meaning, it is part of your Christianity to learn. It is part of your duty and a responsibility as a Christian, whether a man or a woman, a lady, or a male, or a child, to grow up learning how to cook. Some cultures prohibit men from learning how to cook. But again, when you come to Christianity, you are told that even as a man, you need to learn how to cook. It is not just about women. And I question the religion of that class who are too ignorant and too careless to learn how to cook. And we should also question that religion. A religion that will tell you that cooking is only for men, for women. A religion that will tell you that you can just cook anything so long as whatever God gave us is good for us. A religion that will tell you you can cook anyhow so long as the food will get to your mouth, to your stomach. It is just okay. But we are told good religion, good Christianity, a good gospel will teach you how to cook proper foods. It is the positive duty of musicians to educate by pen and voice all who have the responsibility of preparing food for the table. Why? Because greater dangers. There are people who have died. Many people have died. And when you trace the root of their death, you find them it was from the table. Most people who die of cancers, most people who die of these lifestyle diseases, many people, even most of us who die even of malaria and other normal diseases, even getting flu. If you trace it well, you find it is because we have a lot of mucus in our system. And where are we getting the mucus from? It is because of the choice of food that we are having. We are consuming of a lot of mucus forming foods. We are also eating a lot of acidic, acid forming foods. And so as a result, we automatically have these diseases. But again, we are heading to a time whereby you will not buy and sell. You will not be able to go to the hospital. You will not be able to buy the painkillers. Even the herbs, maybe where we will be, there will be no herbs around. And so what God is doing to us is preparing us to be able to stand in good health, not to be able to fall sick during that time. But how can God prepare that if our bodies have been weakened? They have been made weak by the type of food that we are partaking, by the way of the choice of food combination that we have taken. So It is our responsibility as a people to make good cooking to be a religion and a good religion to be part of us. Now this one says, you profess to be health reformers, and everyone here professes to be a health reformer. And for this very reason, you should become good cooks. There is no shortcut. If you profess to be a health reformer, if you are not a good cook, whatever you are doing is health deforming. You are deforming that which has been there, which is good. So, if you are a reformer, there is no shortcut. In another place, she talks of how the good message of health reform have made so many people not to be reformers. Like, for example, if you have heard many of us preaching about health reform, personally, when I heard about health reform, I was told about not eating meat, not eating sugars, not eating eggs, milk, and all that. You know, what was I told to eat? We cook rice, brown rice, beans, dengu, chapati, sweet potato and porridge, and cassava, and that was all the food. And this is a very boring type of diet. Because you have to rotate there, you have to, if today you are prepared ugali in the morning, basically in our homes, most of us take ugali almost every day, right? If we don't take ugali today, automatically tomorrow we will take ugali. The only thing we do is change vegetables. And so most of our food, especially the Kenyans and I know even the Ugandans, are made up of eating a lot of starch. Less vegetables, less fruits, and in most cases, even no nuts at all. And I will tell you that is a deforming. That is a healthy deform. That is not health reform. If our diet is all about ugali, sweet potato, rice, chapati, and nothing else, that is health deform. Because also the mode of preparation is just the same. If you are cooking chapati and bean stew, you have to make the bean stew with some tomatoes, with you just make the stew the same way. If it is rice with the stew. Most of us do not even take salads. Do we make salads? Rarely. Most of us don't take salads. Most of us don't eat raw vegetables. Even most of us don't make use of fruits even when they are in season. Like if I ask right now, for last week, how many types of fruits were we able to partake? Maybe the most is, maybe someone took bananas and avocado, right? Yeah. Someone who did even 3 types of fruits or 4? Most of us didn't. Why? Because we are not used to. So in this cookery, what we want to learn is that we want to turn away from that monotonous type of eating and try to embrace a type of eating that can help us grow not only physically, but also mentally and spiritually. Starch is good, but it is not entirely good also to our bodies. Starch is good, but it is not also good. We are told we should do less cooking. If we can unlearn and try to learn to eat more of the fruits, like you can decide to have a whole bowl, a whole plate of fruits. But again, with how we have been brought up, most of us cannot call that food, right? If today I give you some a bowl or a plate full of some chopped mangoes and bananas and maybe some strawberries, and I tell you that is your lunch. Most of us will not call that lunch. Most of us will not be satisfied that that is food. Why? Because our mind is telling us there is no starch. Where there is no starch, our mind tells us that is not food. It is not a complete food. And that is the mentality That is the environment. That is the situation. That is how we have been brought up, especially the Africans. And that is the mentality that we need to get rid of. And we need to shun and unlearn from. That even as we are eating this, that there is a way we can prepare them that will take away completely these monotonous ways of preparing them each and every day. And sometimes we are not even interested in our meal times because you can guess what is there. Because right now they are cooking ugali and a vegetable, right? You can guess, right? You can guess how ugali will look like. You can guess how the vegetables will be. Sometimes that kills the appetite. We are told that for our food to be good, for our system, it has first to be what? Palatable. You have heard of that word? Palatable means what? It should be good looking to the eyes, because digestion does not only start in the mouth, but it starts with the eye. When the eye sees something good, there is an information that is sent for the brain to it sends some information to the stomach to prepare some enzymes for digestion and all that, and the body is just wowed and it is just prepared and it is ready to partake of the food. But there is a food, you look at it and you say, my goodness, it is because I'm hungry, I have to eat it anyway. That kind of food, sometimes you end up having an indigestion. Why? Because already the body has rejected the food. And when the body has rejected the food by just looking at it, what happens? The body does not prepare the enzymes that are necessary for the digestion of it. And so you may eat it just to fill the stomach, but the food does not get absorbed to the system and it does not help you. So we are told, if you profess to be a health reformers, and for this very reason, you must be good cooks. Those who can avail themselves for the advantages of properly conducted hygienic cooking schools will find it a great benefit, both in their own practice and in teaching others. One reason why many have become discouraged in practicing health reform is that they have not learned how to do what? How to cook, so that proper food, simply prepared, could supply the place for the diet which they have been accustomed to. So the reason why many of us do not practice health reform, even Advent, if you go to many Adventist churches, even though the message of health reform is our message, you find that majority of the people have not embraced this message. And even those who call themselves health reformers, they keep backsliding. You keep going back to eating the things you left. Why? Because we have not learned how to cook, so that proper food, simply prepared, will supply the place of the diet which they have been accustomed to. We have been accustomed to good food. Look at some fried eggs. You remember the taste of fried eggs? Some nicely fried meat, some bread in the morning with some margarine. You see where we are coming from. That is the food we have been accustomed to. Yeah, you are eating your vegetables nicely fried. This is the food we have been accustomed to. But again, we are leaving all that to what? Now we have not replaced, we do not have a good replacement, a good substitute to what we have left. And that's why most of us are suffering. And that's why most of us sometimes even think of going back. And that's why even young people, especially even those who are in schools, most of the time they cheat. You find them buying mandasis, some bread. Is that true? Yeah, you find yourself eating some chips, you go back eating chips. And what else? You find yourself going to buy some yogurt, some ice cream. Why? Because you have not found in this health reform that you have preached and where you have moved to, you have not found a perfect substitute and replacement of what your diet and taste buds have been accustomed to. But again, you may not fully satisfy that. Because when you come to the health reform side, there is a lot of learning and unlearning and changing your taste buds for the new diet. and all that. So people should attend hygienic cooking schools. In Kenya, we don't have those cooking schools, and that's why we are trying to hold such meetings so that some of us can have an opportunity to learn. This cooking can be done in a simple, helpful, and easy manner without the use of lard, butter, and fresh meat. Skill must be united with simplicity. To do this, women must read and then patiently reduce what they have read to practice. Now, how do you become a good cook? You read. There are recipe books, there are cookery books, plant-based cooks that you can tell your parents to buy for you. Most of you have phones. Instead of being in TikTok, instead of being in the status, watching the status of other people, and being in Facebook, watching the reels, because this is what young people love doing. You love those TikTok, those short videos that sometimes have no morals and all that. Instead of doing that, you can go to good channels. You can go to Pinterest. There is an app that is called Pinterest, and search for plant-based recipes and learn. And then as you learn, you do what we are told. You start reducing what you read, and then you start to do what? You practice. That is how people learn. For example, I never went to school to learn about cookery. My parents never taught me. I have just started learning about cookery when I'm already married. And there was no school I could attend. So how did I learn? From online using phone. Go to YouTube, download videos, watch videos, and carefully follow those videos. Sometimes you sacrifice, you save some money and buy the ingredients. And after buying the ingredients, you try a recipe and then it backfires. And then your money goes to waste. But as a good cook who is passionate and who is determined to make it, you never give up. You save again some money and go buy the same ingredients. You try as many times as you can try until you perfect that article food. So it will not be coming easy. You will not learn from this one weekend. You go out and say, oh no, I have now become a good cook. No, you will not. In fact, most of the things you will try, maybe they will fall. Despite the fact that you will see us trying them here and they are working. You will go in your home, you try and it fails. So what will you do? Will you just give up and say, you know, I tried that recipe and it failed. Now I cannot try it anymore. I cannot count how many times I've tried to make bread, good bread. I can't count how many packets of flour I have used and I've wasted. You bake a whole good loaf of bread, it goes bad. It does not come how you want it. You have to throw it away. And then I have to buy again and try, and then it comes out bad. I have to throw it away. So many times, but I never gave up until I had to perfect that art of making good bread. Until where I am now, I can make bread without buying yeast. I can make my own yeast in the home and make it, and use it to make my own bread. It does not come easy. So we are told that skill must be united with simplicity. To do this, women must read. So you have to go back and read, because these meetings will not be there every year or every now and then. So you have to read. Find sites. There are so many sites. You can find plant-based cooking, vegan cooking. You just have to substitute some of the things. Find the people who know how to cook. In another quote, she says that if there is a young girl somewhere who wants to make good bread, who wants to learn about to make good food, go to a home of another person who knows how to cook and stay there until you perfect. Those are some of the sacrifices you have to make. So she says, patiently reduce what they have read to practice, and you start practicing. Many are suffering because they will not take the trouble to do this. Some of us are so indolent. We are so lazy. Why trouble yourself in making bread while you can go to the supermarket and buy a good brown bread? Why the struggle? Why there's bread in the supermarket? So many of us are so lazy, we are so indolent to try this because it is just tedious, it is a troublous work. And we don't have that patience to go through all this experience. So what do? We go to the shortcuts. And that's why most of us, you still find us in the supermarkets for buying those ready-made things. So, things that we should not be doing as a people. That's why most of us have even refused to have kitchen guards. You know, you will learn that for you to also be a good cook, you must have a kitchen garden. Because if you're preparing for food for your family, you must be sure of the origin, the source of your food, that it is a good food. You can know how to cook, but the food you're preparing, the food that has been sprayed heavily. So you can prepare it good, but at the end, it is not a good food. So another thing you realize that to be a good cook, you have to do what? To be a farmer. How many of us are willing to be farmers? Yeah, I hope you are raising up of hands. It's just a genuine act. You must be farmers. You must learn to get your hands dirty in the soil and learn the process of bringing up your food without use of pesticides, without use of artificial fertilizers and all that. That is another way of being a good cook. And so this is a religious duty for those who cook to learn how to prepare healthful food in different ways so that it may be eaten with enjoyment. What a branch of the education of a young lady can be so important as this? Now that is a question. What branch of education to a young lady that can be so important as this? In other words, what is she saying? Someone to put it in another language? Yes, in other words, before, as a young girl, before you learn how to become a doctor, before you start saying, I want to be a teacher, I want to be a lawyer, before you learn anything, this is what you should be learning as the first. But how many things do you know now? So many things. But yet, this basic foundation, responsibility, and a duty for you, you have not learned it. So who do we blame? Your parents or you? Who is to blame? Do we blame our parents? We don't blame our parents. We blame ourselves to some extent. But there is no branch of education that is so important to a young girl as this. A young girl who knows how to simply make foods, who has learned not only just cooking, you realize that other things that young girls need to learn is about homemaking and all that. That is just being a young Christian girl. That is a very important work. So as we learn this introduction of cookery, give me the methods you know of cooking. What are methods we know of cooking? Baking? Yes? Steaming? Boiling? Any other? Frying? Any other? I'm not getting that. Basting. I've not gotten the word right. Yeah. Roasting. Are you saying roasting? Yeah, roasting. Yeah, roasting is there. So we have boiling, we have steaming, we have baking, we have someone has said frying, and we have steam. These are some of the methods, but again, we are going to do away with the frying, right? Because frying is not good. Why is frying not good? What is wrong with frying? Yes? It kills the nutrients. Any other reason why we should not fry our food? Yes? Changes the taste. Any other reason? Yeah, we are told when cooking, we should not heat our oils direct, right? Most of the oils that we are using have been already heated. They have gone through the process of hydrogenation, and they have been cooked or heated to some temperatures. So when you heat them again direct, what you do is you break those bonds. And sometimes in some foods, what you create there is what you welcome is some free radicals that will get into your bloodstreams and your system, and it is not good. And also it just changes the entire taste of food. And that frying also kills some nutrients in food. It denatures some nutrients in food. So in health way of cooking, we are not to that way that we were taught when we were growing up, that you have to cook your onions with your oil until they turn golden brown. That is a bad method of cooking, because onion is a good vegetable. It is a good food. And the best way to eat the onions for them to work, onion does cleansing, onions does a lot of purifying. You know, when you have a flu, your parents just tell you take some onion slices and put them in your room. They do some purifying, hair purifying, and also they cleanse the hair, they cleanse the body, they cleanse your system and everything. So for it to work, the onions has to remain in the state that it is. So the best way it is either it is raw, or just if you are cooking it, don't fry it, because that frying, you turn it golden brown, you kill all the cells that are supposed to work in purifying or removing toxins or impurities from your body. So you separate, or you take away that strength from the onion. So it does not work. The moment you fry your onions, they have turned the color. Just know whatever you're doing is just improving the taste of your food, but again, you have just made a poison to your system. So onions should never be turned brown, and oil should not be cooked the way we cook it. You should not fry food at any point. So we have steaming. We know steaming. We have steaming where people use you boil water, and then maybe you can blanch in your vegetable. You just put them there, not while the water is boiling, but you just boil it, you remove from the fire, you turn off the fire, and then you put your vegetable in there, and then you let them stay for some minutes, you remove. But that again will leave some nutrients in the water, which you will throw away. So the best way is using a colander. Do we know a colander? There is a type of, like, it is a type of a pot, but has some holes on the bottom. You know that? So you have a big, pot that is boiling with water, and then you have that one that has the holes. So you put that one inside of it, but it does not touch the water. And then you put your vegetables, like things like carrots, zucchini, broccoli, onions, even tomatoes, and then you put them in there, and then you cover a little bit. So they steam without them touching the water. So they retain all the nutrients. So that one is very good. That one is one of the best. We have baking, and especially baking that is done without oils. You know, sometimes we bake, but our baking is also more of a frying, right? You put a lot of oil, and then when you put in the oven, there's that sizzling and everything. That is also not good. You can bake without oil, or you can use if you're using oil, sometimes you can wrap your food in some banana leaves. Banana leaves are a good option for foil peppers and baking peppers, which we know they are not good for our health. So you can have some oil, and then you wrap your food or whatever you're baking in some banana leaves and all that. We have roasting, where you can put your food direct to the fire. Like if you want to roast some bananas, you get your green or even ripe banana, you put them in the fire directly, and then it will roast, and then you partake of it. That is also very good, because there is nothing you are just introducing. It's just the food, and it just comes out so good. Boiling is good, but boiling is good if whatever you are boiling will not leave a liquid behind which you throw away. Do you get what I'm saying? Whatever you're boiling will not leave a liquid behind which you will do what? Throw away. Sometimes we boil vegetables, and then when they're ready, we do what? You put a lot of water, and then it boils. You have to sieve it, and then you do away with the water, and then you go frying your vegetables. Now, what have you done? Because the water you leave behind has gone with all the nutrients in the vegetables. So if you're boiling, make sure you put very little water, and then when your food is done, there is no any water. Or if there is any water remaining, especially for the stews, you're boiling beans, chickpeas, these lentils. So the water that is remaining, you make sure you use it for the stews. You don't throw away the water. So that is how boiling can be good. But if you're boiling your vegetables, you're boiling your githeri, and then you throw away the excess water, you have not done anything. That is a poor way of cooking. So we have those methods. And those methods, among those methods, the best is roasting, baking, and steaming. Those are the best. Boiling comes the last. But again, in our setup, which one do we do the more? It is boiling. Everything is just boiling, 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 boiling. Things like sweet potatoes, if possible, you should just wash them, put them in the oven. And that's why most of our homes should have ovens. It is a basic requirement. It is not a luxury. It is a basic requirement. Whether it is an electric or it is just a charcoal oven, just tell your parents to save up and get some oven for you. So you can just wash your Irish potatoes, sweet potatoes, and just put them direct to the oven to roast until they are done. Things like pumpkins, you don't need to boil them. Just roast them. Sometimes you can roast vegetables like cabbages, broccolis, cauliflower, tomatoes, beetroots. You can roast these things. And the food that is roasted is good than the food that we boil. So these are some of the steps of us coming to perfection in our diet. And so my time I think is up, but we're going to finish up. Is there anyone with a question up to that point? Is there anyone with a question? Are we together? Yeah. So after knowing all these things, you have to know what you are going to cook. The Bible tells us, or the Spirit of prophecy tells us, fruits, grains, and vegetables. So we have the fruits, we have the grains, we have the vegetables. Grains here includes all the seeds, prepared in a simple way, free from spice and grease and all kinds. Now in our cooking, because these are some of the things we may not talk of, is our cooking should be free of spices and condiments. Do we know spices? Give me the spices that you use in your cooking. We see which are good and bad. Yes? Turmeric, huh? Ginger, paprika, cinnamon. The spices that we use in our food. Yes? Cardamom, garlic. There are so many. Yes? Onion. Onion is not a spice in this case. Anyone else? Yeah? Fenugreek. Yes? Huh? Pepper. And we have so many types of pepper. Cumin, ginger. Yes. So, yes. Bay leaf. So we have so many spices and what we also call condiments. Spices and condiments are the things we add. They are additives that mostly we add to the food to improve their taste. Some of them we need them, but most of them we don't need them. So here we are told fruits and grains and vegetables prepared in a simple way, free from spices and grease of all kinds. So our food should be free from grease. Do we know grease in this case? I know most of us are not using grease. Grease like people using Kimbo, uh, cowboy, such food, and also lard. Lard is the oil that comes from pigs. There are some people who know how to remove the oil from the pigs and then they keep it. Even from animals, people do that. But we are told we should not be using those because when they get into the body, they do condense, and some of them they block the airwaves for the blood, the capillaries and the veins. And sometimes through that, people can have the problem with heart attacks and stroke and other diseases. So we are not to use grease, but we should be using good oil. And also even the oils that we use, most of them, they are just melted grease. Most of oils that we use. And most of the oils also we use, they are not good oils. So that is a lesson for another time, maybe for your parents, to learn the good oils to use that will not affect us. So let me just talk about the spices, then we finish. Although I may not go deep, but I will. Maybe tomorrow, as I start my lesson, I will try to go deep in the spices, but I can just make a mention of it. Now, we have mentioned all those spices: ginger, cumin, garlic, although now garlic does not fall in that category. We have cardamom and all that. These things are good. They are spices you have not told me, but they are found in your houses. Those that you buy from the supermarket. Gram masalas, curry powders. See, some people buy those things and they have in the houses. We have things like cloves. So these things are good, but most of them should only be used as medicines for medicinal purposes only. Most of them. Now, which are these most of them? Any spice that have that some type of heating or hotness in your tongue before they are cooked. Any spice or anything that in that category of condiments and spice that have that, you put it in your tongue. Most of them, they are not good for our system. Now, what is the problem? Is that most of them, and I'm going to mention some, is that when they get to the system, if it is not for medicinal purpose, you know the body knows when you are treating a disease and when you are not treating a disease. You cannot lie to the body. When you are taking ginger as a medication, the body knows because the body will know how to take that ginger to where the sickness is and you get healed. And when you are taking that ginger not for medicinal purposes, the body will not treat it as a medicine. The body will treat it as you have eaten it as food. So most of the problems of these spices is that they do away with our mucous membrane in our stomach. We have what we call a mucous membrane. We have the small intestines and the large intestine where the food is fully digested and where the food is absorbed, the nutrients are absorbed. And that place, the gut is as that flora that is so delicate, and it has mucous membrane. So that mucous membrane is so delicate that when we take something that is a little bit harsh or something that is foreign in some sense to eat to the stomach, it just breaks down that mucous membrane. And when you don't have that mucous membrane, now you start having digestion problems, you start having ulcers, because most of the food that you eat will not be properly broken down and be absorbed or digested. And so many people start suffering with the weight loss problems, and there are so many things, H. pylori and so many. Because why? They have completely wasted away or interfered with their mucous membrane in the gut. That's why even we are told when we even take any medicine, be either it is a herbal medicine or these other ones, after you have finished the process of treatment, you should replace. Because, for example, when you take charcoal, charcoal is good, right? But charcoal has an ability to do away with bad bacteria and good bacteria from the system, from the stomach. The stomach has good bacteria. We have good bacteria and we have bad bacteria. But charcoal, to some extent, has that ability to get rid of the good and the bad. So after treating yourself with charcoal, you have to get a way of replenishing, getting back the good bacteria to your system. And that's why sometimes now you are encouraged to take things like that have what? Foods that are have probiotics in them to help you build up that flora once again. So the same thing applies. Spices like ginger, black pepper, we have white pepper, we have cloves, we have cumin, we have cinnamon. All these, I have a wood, they have their benefits and everything, but they are not good for the mucous membrane that is in our system, in our stomach. Garlic has that, you can feel something in the tongue when you taste garlic. But again, it is effect when you take to the stomach, we are told that it has alkalizing effect. The same thing applies to cayenne, even though it is a pepper. But again, even cayenne, even though it is good, it is not recommended that in everyday use you are taking cayenne. In most cases, just use it for medicinal purposes. And these things, some of these spices, they also create a stimulating effect in your system, in your body. You know a stimulating effect? You understand what is a stimulating effect? The same effect that coffee will give you, the same effect that tea leaves will give you and others, this will also give you. So if we are cooking food, if you are a good cook, you should learn how to cook food the right way without using these spices to enhance the taste of your food. Okay? They are good spices you can use. We have coriander seeds powder, we have some fennel seed powder that do not have this effect. But again, even in using them, it should be just once in a while. But we should learn how to cook our food as natural as possible without use of these additives to enhance the taste. The way God created the food, He said it was good. You don't have to complicate yourself. And also, it is not good when you are making a meal, you add so many things together. Now, because you have been told cayenne is good, you add cayenne, you add turmeric, you add garlic, you add onion, you add fennel, you add fenugreek, you add. And then when you are tasting that food, you cannot find that natural taste of that food. Every food we are eating should be able to retain it is natural taste. You should be able to feel it. So whatever you are adding to your food, whatever combination you are doing, make sure that the end product still has that neutral, natural food, natural taste for that specific food that you're making. So our food should not be complicated. It should be simple, yet we should learn the skills and the art just to make this food look good and at the same taste good. But in tasting good, we should not stick the artificial things in like spices to make it taste good. Are we together? Yes, so I think more on that we will check tomorrow. At this point, I have to stop unless there is a question or there is a comment. Okay, so we can pray and then we can see if there is a question. We can pray. Father, we thank you once again for this moment. Thank you that you have brought us to the end of this session and we have learned so many things about cooking, that you created everything and when you looked back, you saw that all that you had made was good, good for everyone, good for ourselves as a people. And here we are as a people, you are taking us back to that originality which you created us in, back to your image. And so as you teach us, we pray that we may be able to be patient and obedient enough to follow, and not only just to follow and be doers of this word. For we are living in a time where we have to grasp things as fast as possible and be able to practice, that we may save a dying world. Your will be done for more classes that are coming, and that, Lord, may you sanctify our minds and forgive us and remove any hindrance or stumbling block that can make most of us not to make use of this good information that we are getting from this place. For this is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.